Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly briefing. I'm delighted this week to have with us announcements and briefings from Public Health, from our library, and from traffic engineering, as well as a number of other things going on in the city that we want to brief you about. So we will start, as always, with Janelle Heinrich, who's the Director of Public Health Madison Dane County.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. On Tuesday, I shared the hopeful and exciting news that Emergency Order number 16 will expire on June 2nd, and that we will not be issuing orders after that. And it's a very exciting reflection of a new chapter of the COVID-19 pandemic in Dane County. But I recognize that this is a significant transition for our community and one that some may be more ready to embrace than others. But as we have throughout the pandemic, I want to assure you that this is a data-driven decision and reflects the success of our collective efforts over this past year. Right now, the 7-day average of cases is 24. A week ago, that number was 37. As for testing, just 1.2% of all tests conducted in Dane County are coming back positive. Hospitalization rates are also trending down, averaging 33 people hospitalized daily with COVID compared to 39 last week. Cases have nearly disappeared in our oldest populations of those 70 years and older. The age group seeing impressive vaccine coverage, with more than 90% having completed the vaccine series. And when it comes to vaccination rates, thank you, Dane County, you continue to step up. This week, our county is making local and national headlines for having one of the highest vaccination rates in the country, especially among our 65 and older population. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Dane County has the highest percentage of fully vaccinated residents in that age group among counties with at least 300,000 people. I applaud the 349,000 people and counting who have gotten at least one dose of vaccine. This accounts for 64% of our county. And despite being the most recently eligible group, our 12 to 15-year-old population is quickly catching up, with almost 30% of this age group having one dose in just 1 week. By June 2nd, we expect that over half this age group will have received at least one dose. And as of this morning, 54.7% of Dane County residents have completed the vaccine series. When we talk about lifting our public health orders, it's important to remember the goals of these orders. The mission of these orders was never to reach 0 cases of COVID-19. The goal was to prevent as many severe outcomes and deaths due to COVID-19 as possible. The goal was to avoid overwhelming our healthcare and public health capacity to assure that we would be able to care for all those who need it, whether due to COVID or other health issues. Because we have made such incredible strides towards these goals over the past year, we feel comfortable lifting these orders. The latest science also supports this decision. Science which overwhelmingly shows how effective the vaccines are at preventing illness, hospitalizations, and deaths from COVID-19. Studies have shown that vaccines are just as effective in the real world as they were in the trials, and this is playing out here with such high vaccine coverage in our 65+ age group and locally producing the results of less than 1 new COVID diagnosis per day, compared to 31 when vaccinations started in mid-December in this age group. In early June, when Emergency Order number 16 expires, we estimate that nearly 75% of our eligible population will be vaccinated at the current pace at which we're administering vaccine. At this point, masking requirements will become recommendations, and individuals and businesses may choose to enforce their own policies. In the meantime, we continue to encourage everyone in Dane County to continue to follow the current order and guidelines. This window of time gives businesses time to make those decisions and prepare. It also allows more time for our 12 to 15-year-olds to get vaccinated. And it's important to note, although our orders will end, our efforts will continue. We will continue to make testing available, support vaccine access, follow up with those who may become ill to prevent the spread of COVID to others, keep the community informed, and work with businesses and community partners to work together to keep our community healthy and safe. As a parent, the most important thing you can do to protect your kids is to get vaccinated and encourage the people in your children's lives to do the same. By doing so, you're creating a circle of protection around your children who are not yet eligible to be vaccinated. And if they're not yet eligible to be vaccinated, and I have a child in this age group, continue to have them wear masks, especially in indoor spaces. Ultimately, you will have to decide your own comfort with risks and align your behaviors. And each parent may have a different approach to protecting their children, and that is okay. Do what you feel comfortable with, and whatever choice you make, it's the right one for you and your family. The good news is, though, that we have less and less virus circulating, and so our risk will continue to diminish in our community. Not issuing another public health order does not mean that we think the pandemic is over or that we have achieved herd immunity. Usually around 60 to 90% of the population needs immunity before infection rates will remain low. We currently don't know what that rate will be for this disease, and we may not know it until after we have achieved it. But what we do know is that we're at a very exciting and delicate place in our response as individuals and a community. We have come a long way, and we are now beginning to see the results of these efforts that we've worked so hard to achieve. Our case rates are low, hospitalizations are stable or decreasing, deaths are becoming rarer due to increased vaccine coverage and advances to treatments unknown to us 1 year ago. And vaccine coverage continues to grow. Thank you to everyone who has become vaccinated so far. And if you haven't had a chance, I encourage you to head over to the Alliant Energy Center or find a place accessible to you today and get vaccinated. While we anticipate that COVID may be here for quite a while, the more vaccine coverage we have in our community, the more it will continue to fade away. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle, and I want to add my thanks to everybody who's gotten vaccinated. I am so impressed with our 12 to 15-year-olds and the rate at which they're getting vaccinated. Every time I hear the percentage, it's gone up. So the kids are leading the way here. All right, next we're going to hear from Greg Mickles, who's our library director, about the library's plans to reopen.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon. After more than a year of reduced public service, I'm pleased to announce that all Madison Public Libraries will reopen on Monday, May 24th. Expanded service will restore in-person library browsing, self-pickup of holds, computer use, and access to basic desk services. We will also begin hosting outdoor programs for children and families. Our hours of operation as of May 24th will be weekends from 10 to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from noon to 5 p.m. That said, all libraries except for our Monroe Street Library. Monroe Street Library will be open from 10 to 6 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Our Dream Bus will be visiting more than a dozen spots around the city weekly. For that schedule, I invite you to go to visit dreambus.org for a full schedule of their stops. For the first few weeks, we'll be operating at a reduced capacity as we transition back to providing in-person service. That will mean, beginning May 24th, we will no longer offer curbside pickup service. This service was extremely popular during the pandemic, but since public health conditions have improved, we will transition back to in-library pickup of holds and patron browsing. As we're making that transition, we want to know that in-person pickup will now be more convenient. Library visitors will find that each library now will have self-checkout stations, a brand new experience for our Alicia Ashman, Lakeview, Hawthorne, Pinney, and even Monroe Street library users. If you do require an accommodation, though, in picking up your materials, I encourage you to call your library. The health and safety of the public and our staff continues to be very important to us. We have prioritized health and safety throughout the pandemic and have followed public health guidelines. When we open our doors on May 24th, visitors will be still required to wear a face covering per Public Health Order number 16. We ask that visitors continue to practice social distancing during this time and follow all best practices, including sanitizing and washing hands. And please don't come to the library if you're feeling sick. Our reopening plan was put in place before this week's public health announcement, thank you, Janelle, about the June 2nd lifting of the Public Order number 16. Our team is currently working on a transition plan for that service. After the Public Health Order does expire, we will be announcing a transition plan on June 1st. I have to say, Madison loves its libraries. Pre-COVID, we welcomed nearly 2 million visitors each year. We checked out over 3.6 million items annually. In the fall, we will be expanding our service hours again to our fully budgeted service hours for the year, including, for the first time, new Sunday hours at our Goodman, South Madison, and Lakeview Library locations. Finally, I want to recognize and thank the leadership of Public Health Department. Janelle, you're a rock star. And the mayor in providing guidance through these difficult months. I also want to recognize Madison Public Library staff for their creativity in launching new services like curbside service, online library card applications. And I also want to recognize the many staff that make the magic work from behind the curtains, so to speak, including our catalogers, processors, and maintenance staff, and the army of staff that daily go into the stacks to reshelf items and to retrieve items to deliver them to you. Their hard work and dedication amidst a year filled with uncertainty was really a bright spot during the pandemic. So we're excited. Welcome back to your libraries, and we hope to be seeing you on May 24th and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I had a chance to go by Hawthorne the other day and see their preparations for getting ready to welcome people back, and it's very exciting. And also, just for anybody in that neighborhood, Hawthorne has new carpet, which looks great. So very happy to be able to go back into our library starting on the 24th. And I want to thank you, Greg, and all of your staff for the hard work, not just in this reopening plan, but over the past year plus of the pandemic to make sure that people had access to their libraries, which, yes, we do love. All right, our last speaker today is Jeremy Nash from Traffic Engineering, who's going to provide an update from our Vision Zero program.
All right, thank you, Mayor, and good morning, everyone. I'm here today to talk about the City of Madison's 20 is Plenty program, which is part of our broader Vision Zero initiative. I'd like to start off by saying what is 20 is Plenty. The main idea behind 20 is Plenty is that 20 miles per hour is an appropriate speed limit for vehicles to travel on local neighborhood streets. On the diagram you can see right now shows the crash factors if there were to be a vehicle versus pedestrian crash. When a vehicle is traveling 20 miles per hour, there's a 13% likelihood of fatality or severe injury if that vehicle were to strike a pedestrian. At 30 miles per hour, this increases the 40% likelihood of fatality or severe injury. And at 40 miles per hour, this increases to 73% likelihood of fatality or severe injury. The key takeaway from this diagram is that if there was a vehicle versus pedestrian crash, if the vehicle is traveling at 20 miles per hour, then there'd be a significantly lower likelihood of fatality or severe injury. The 20 is Plenty program has been successful in other cities across the country without additional police presence or enforcement, which is how we expect the program to go in Madison. Next, I'd like to touch on the dangers of speeding. One of the dangers of speeding is that it increases the vehicle stopping distance. This is due to two different factors. The first is that it increases the distance a vehicle travels before a driver can react. Let's say that I'm driving down the street and a child's basketball were to roll into the street. If I were traveling at a high rate of speed, I'd cover more distance before I'm able to react and my foot hits the brake, before I even begin to slow down. The second factor is that once I begin to slow down, I'll travel more distance to come to a complete stop than if I were traveling at a lower rate of speed. In addition to stopping distance, speeding also has a greater potential for loss of control and steering. Here in Wisconsin, we can get some extreme weather in the winters, which can contribute to this. There's also a higher degree of crash severity when a vehicle is traveling at high speeds. There is also a decreased field of vision, as can be seen in the diagram below. When traveling at 15 miles per hour, you have a lot of peripheral vision and you can see what's going on around you. But when traveling at a higher rate of speed, your vision is much more limited to what is directly ahead of you. Next, I'd like to touch on what's the need for 20 is Plenty here in Madison. In 2020, the City of Madison received 116 requests for traffic calming. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, traffic calming consists of speed humps and traffic circles and other changes to the roadway. This is higher than previous years, in part due to people working from home and observing what goes on around the residences during the day. And across the country, pedestrian versus vehicle crashes are up by 46% from 2009 to 2018. And that is a trend that we do not want to see continue here in Madison. Other cities across the country have adopted a 20 is Plenty program or something similar. I won't run through each of these, but I did want to highlight some of the data that we got from the city of Seattle. They studied the locations before and after lowering the speed limit on their local streets from 25 to 20 miles per hour, and all crashes went down by 22% and injury crashes went down by 18%. The 50th and 85th percentile speeds also decreased by 10% and 7% respectively, but the number of vehicles traveling about 40 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone decreased by 54%. And as I previously mentioned, crashes involving these vehicles would be the most severe. Twenty is Plenty will be implemented in two different phases. Phase 1 consists of 2 locations within the city that were selected by the Transportation Commission last week. I will touch on those shortly. We're planning on changing out speed limit signs late next month, June, but we'll be conducting speed studies in the areas ahead of that. I'd like to gather as much data as possible before making any changes to help us with evaluating Phase 1 later this year. We'd also like to have the support of the neighborhoods and the alders of the areas included in Phase 1. Phase 2 of the 20 is Plenty program will begin next year and include citywide implementation. We're hoping to get as much experience as possible with Phase 1 to see what techniques are effective so that we can make sure that Phase 2 goes as smoothly as possible. In an effort to meet all the needs of all citizens of Madison, as well as get a variety of experiences from Phase 1, 2 locations were considered for Phase 1. One location on or close to the isthmus where we see greater volumes of pedestrians, bicyclists, and vehicles all sharing the same space, sharing space on the road. For the second location, we want to select a location that encompassed part or all of a neighborhood resource area. These locations tend to be a little further out from downtown. The first area selected by the Transportation Commission last week is a portion of the Tenny Lapham neighborhood. The limits are East Washington Avenue, East Johnson Street, North Blair Street, and the Ohio River. And it's worth mentioning that the streets I just mentioned will not have their speed limits affected by the 20 is Plenty program, as this only looks at local streets, not collectors or arterials. This location had the highest crashes per square mile than any of the other options. The second area selected by the Transportation Commission is the Terrace area on the west side of Madison, which includes parts of the Prairie Hills, and Meadowwood neighborhoods. This is an area where NRT leaders have heard from residents about speeding issues. Unfortunately, there was a fatality in this area in 2017 where a driver lost control of their car and left the roadway striking a utility pole. This area is bordered by Hammersley Road, South Whitney Way, Raymond Road, and McKenna Boulevard. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to email me at jnish@cityofmadison.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's great to hear that update. And I just want to really encourage folks, well, as you heard, we're doing this in phases. The data are so clear on the danger of speeding in our neighborhoods that I really ask you to watch your speed, go slowly, particularly on our neighborhood streets, and protect our friends and family and neighbors. All right, I've got a number of things that I want to go through. I just want to start by reminding us, I know we're mid-month already, but it is still Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. The City Council just passed a resolution recognizing that here in Madison, and I encourage folks to educate themselves, to read a little bit of Asian American history, Pacific Islander history, and one place you can do that is our fantastic libraries. One of the great things that our libraries provide for us is reading lists and recommendations, and I encourage you to check those out, particularly from Asian American, and Pacific Islander authors this month in particular. We also have coming up Bike to Work Day on May 21st and Harvey Milk Day on May 22nd. So mark your calendars for those. Looks like the weather is going to facilitate us biking a lot more, which is fantastic. So if you haven't yet, maybe get that bike out of the garage, check the tires, give it a little tune-up, and get out there. I also want to remind folks that while our vaccination rates are fantastic overall, there are still folks in our community that haven't had a chance to get vaccinated yet. So if that's you, you have plenty of options as to where you can get vaccinated. Certainly, the Alliant Energy Center vaccination clinic is available, and you can visit publichealthmdc.com/APPT to book an appointment. And there are appointments available every day of the week except Sunday, including evening hours and morning hours. You can walk up, bike up, drive, get a free ride. You do not need ID or insurance, and all 3 vaccines are available. So please, if you haven't had a chance yet, find a way to get yourself vaccinated. In addition to the Alliant Energy Center, your healthcare provider may be able to help you. There are pharmacies that are offering vaccination, and there's a ton of pop-up events around the community, which I'm seeing basically every day on social media. So watch the news, watch your social media, or visit the Public Health website for more information on how you can get connected to a vaccine. I also encourage folks to stay up to date as we are moving out of public health orders. Obviously, COVID-19 is still with us and will be for a long time. So if you want more information about best practices, recommendations, again, how to get vaccinated, or if you need a test, you can stay up to date at the Public Health website. Again, that's publichealthmdc.com. Or you can sign up to receive text messages or email updates at cityofmadison.com/health-safety/coronavirus. And there's a link for updates. And of course, you can follow us on social media at City of Madison on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, we're at City Madison WI. And we also have a YouTube channel. So all the ways to find us. A couple of updates on city services. Starting on June 1st, we will be resuming enforcement of all of our on-street parking restrictions, ending the temporary suspension of residential parking permit restrictions and time limit restrictions in non-metered areas. So obviously you heard that the public health orders are going to expire on June 2nd, and so we're expecting to need to start enforcing parking again then as well. We're already starting to see parking demand rise and congestion increase, so we're going to try and move back to our normal enforcement. So just again, starting on June 1st, residential parking permit areas, the time limit and the parking permit only restrictions will be enforced. If you need information on the parking permit programs, you can visit the Parking Division website. We're also going to start enforcing the 1 and 2 hour posted time limits in non-metered areas. We're also going to go back to the standard $8 night and weekend daily rate in city-owned public parking garages. And I want to remind folks that the Park Smarter app is available to pay for meters. There's more information again on the parking website there. We are going to leave the temporary restaurant pickup loading zones, keeping those in effect, so please don't park in those. And then we are working towards trying to safely reopen the parking and traffic offices. But in the meantime, all of the services are available online or over the phone by calling 608-266-4761. So questions about parking and parking permits, call 608-266-4761. From our Department of Civil Rights, this is exciting. They have upgraded their system for taking discrimination complaints to be a multilingual complaint portal, so that we can better serve our entire community. So if you visit discrimination.cityofmadison.com, the portal is now live and accessible from any device that supports a web browser, and the service is available in English, Spanish, French, Vietnamese, Mandarin, and Tibetan, which is a great array of languages to serve our community. And this is going to help us serve members of our community who might be experiencing discrimination in the areas of employment, housing, or public accommodations in their native language. Again, you can access the system from anywhere, including a cell phone, and the Equal Opportunities Division of the Department of Civil Rights will investigate the complaints received from members of the community. Alleged discrimination must be based on the individual's membership in one of the 28 protected classes here in Madison and must have occurred in the city of Madison for the department to be able to investigate it. So I really hope that this new portal will allow folks greater comfort and ease if they have been discriminated against in reporting that to the city. I'm also very excited to announce our new pop-up shop initiative. We announced this on Tuesday, and this is a new initiative to support small-scale, less-resource businesses and to fill vacant storefronts as we recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. The pop-up shops, the first several pop-up shops are a collaboration between the city, J.D. McCormick Properties, and local business organizations that support BIPOC entrepreneurs. And I want to say a big thanks to everybody involved in this partnership, including the city's Economic Development Division, for making it happen. Currently, J.D. McCormick Properties has 2 storefront spaces available on State Street that are going to offer a great opportunity for entrepreneurs looking for retail presence in downtown Madison. And the pop-up program is really an ideal thing for small or new businesses because of the lower cost and risk, which can help us open doors to historically marginalized entrepreneurs. It means that they're going to be able to have a prime retail spot, but not have the burden of a long-term lease. So that they can try out a new concept or start a new business, get it started, and then hopefully they'll be able to stay in that spot or to locate in another one nearby with a more permanent lease or situation. Pop-ups also can help us bring new foot traffic in to a neighborhood business district, and that can help the current brick and mortar retail or other businesses that are already in that area. This is just one of the ways that the city is working on helping to support small and local businesses as they recover from the pandemic. I just briefly want to go through a couple of things that we've done, and happy to take questions on them. We've distributed about $1.8 million in grants to small and local businesses, with more planned. We launched the successful and popular Streetery program, and we're hoping to expand that to retail as well. Over the course of the pandemic, we waived license fees, which saved businesses almost $500,000 over the last year. We increased funding for the Madison Black Chamber of Commerce and the Latino Chamber of Commerce of Dane County. We're preparing for a new downtown tax increment finance district. We're working hard to support the return of our beloved events like the farmers market and live music downtown. Very much looking forward to that. And we're investing in microlending to local businesses via Kiva Madison. If you're not already a Kiva lender, I encourage you to check it out, kiva.org. Find some of our Madison-based businesses who are looking for a little capital to keep them going. I have lent to, I think, probably between 15 and 20 local Madison businesses. It's a small amount. It's an easy way to help support our small and local businesses. We're also supporting the development of cooperative businesses in the city of Madison. And all of this, or I should say most of this, is through our Economic Development Division. So the pop-up shop initiative was introduced at council at the last meeting. It's scheduled to be voted on at the June 1st meeting. If you're interested in the opportunity on State Street, please contact Saran Oak, who's the head of our Office of Business Resources, at souk@cityofmadison.com. I also want to let folks know that we are going to unveil draft concepts for several plans in the near future. So coming soon is the East Town area plan. We've had a number of different virtual events and activities to hear how residents, businesses, and property owners would like to see the East Town area grow. And that has informed the Planning Division's work for a new draft concept for future land use, transportation, parks, and open space. You can view the new draft concepts and share your feedback and ideas during a second round of virtual meetings. You do need to register in advance for the meetings, which you can do at cityofmadison.com/easttownplan. That's all spelled out, EASTTOWNE plan. The meetings will be held in English, but we offer interpretation or other accommodations, and they will be held on Monday, the 24th at 5:30 and Wednesday, the 26th at noon. So again, that's cityofmadison.com/easttownplan for more information. I think last week we told you about the Streets Division new work order system for large items. That is available starting May 28th. So that's to let people, let the Streets Department know if you have a large item at the curb to be picked up, but you also can use it if you have to get a recycling sticker for an item. So if you're taking items to a drop-off site, you can use the work order system to purchase those recycling stickers. So for example, if you have a television or something that needs to be recycled like that, you go online, order your sticker, it'll be mailed to you, and then you can bring it to the drop-off site. So lots more information at the Streets Division website or in our Recyclopedia if you do not have yours yet. It is available online. Just to note, you're not going to be able to get those stickers at the libraries yet, but staff could help you order one online if you needed that. You can't yet purchase them in person at Streets Division offices, but stay tuned for when that will be available again. And if you have questions, you can call Streets. If you are west of South Park Street, call 608-266-4681. If you are east of South Park Street, call 608-246-4532. In other good news, the Lake Vista Cafe on the top of Monona Terrace is opening for the season. It is open already. Very excited about this. It's a great place to get up, have a lunch or a snack, see the beautiful lake, sit out in the sun or in the shade as you prefer. The hours are Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It is closed on Monday. Obviously, if it's raining, not so much open. But when it's sunny, please go check it out. And you can visit mononaterrace.com for more information and a menu and all the good things. Very excited about this. Also want to remind folks that Ride the Dive is coming on Sunday, June 6th. This is creeping up on us quickly here. It's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We are having 4 different sites. Each has a roughly 2-mile route. And they need 500 plus volunteers to make it happen. So that means you. If you live near Kennedy Park, Marlborough Park, Warner Park, or Wingra Park, we are asking you to help us out with Ride the Drive. Come out, you get a nice t-shirt, you volunteer for 2 hours, and then you can ride the drive and hang out in the park and see your friends and family. Maybe you want to have a picnic. There's all sorts of things you can do to help. They need bike ambassadors, setup and cleanup crews, info booth and t-shirt sales staffers, and the greatest need is intersection guides. So these are folks that will help stand along the route and help keep people on the route, let them know where they're going. Visit ridethedrive.com and select the park location that you're interested in to see the route map and to register as a volunteer. Very excited about this and definitely hope that you can help out. It should be a great day. All right. Just a few more things. As always, community resources are available to help you if you need them. No shame in asking for support. It's been a hell of a year. Sorry, excuse my language. It has been, though, really. And so United Way is here to help you. If you need it, you can call 211 or text your zip code to 898-211. The city has a free financial resource hotline to help navigate financial issues due to the pandemic. You can visit cityofmadison.com/financial hotline, or you can call 888-266-7805 to sign up for an appointment. We also have a housing helpline if you're homeless or in danger of losing housing. That number is 608-264-0549, or email housinginfo@cityofmadison.com. The Public Service Commission at the state has an internet and phone helpline, which is 608-267-3595. If you need help finding childcare, call 608-216-7022. I think that's going to start to become a little bit more of a thing as we open up more. If you do not yet have health insurance, please, please, please get covered. You can do that at healthcare.gov. If you need help navigating the marketplace, call 211 or visit wiscovered.com. And if you need help paying for your healthcare premiums through the marketplace, Health Connect is here for you. Call 211 or visit unitedwaydanecounty.org/healthconnect to see if you're eligible for financial assistance with your healthcare premiums. If you need a computer to do any of the things that I just mentioned, check out your local library. You can call 608-266-6300, and with the libraries opening back up, it's going to be easier for you to go and get an appointment to spend some time on a computer and connect to the resources that you need. These resources and more at cityofmadison.com. Click on the community resources link. Please also follow my blog, cityofmadison.com/mayor/blog. We post all this stuff regularly to keep you informed. Finally, upcoming meetings. Today, the 20th at 4, the Monona Terrace Community and Convention Center Board will meet. At 5, the Landlord and Tenant Issues Committee will meet. On Monday, the 24th, at 4:30, the Finance Committee will meet, and at 5:30, the Plan Commission will meet. On Tuesday, the 25th, at 4:30, the Water Utility Board will meet, and I want to welcome our new Water Utility General Manager, Krishna Kumar, who is confirmed at Tuesday's council meeting. Congratulations. Looking forward to having him on board starting in June. On Wednesday, the 26th, at 9, the Task Force on Digital Inclusion Strategic Priorities will meet. At 2:30, the Committee on Aging meets. At 4:30, the Urban Design Commission meets. And at 5, the Transportation Commission meets. Finally, next week, Thursday, we will not have a briefing. Because of the Memorial Day weekend, we think you should go outside and have some fun instead of listening to a briefing. That is what I have. Let's see, Linda, if we have any questions.
We do, and all of them are for you.
Excellent.
The first question is regarding mask at CCB, and it says, what will the masking policy be at the city-county building when Emergency Order 16 expires?
Excellent question and fun fact. The city-county building is actually owned by the county, so they will set that policy. It's a good question for the county executive's office.
Okay.
I can say, though, sorry, I don't mean to be flip. We're in conversations with the county. We're in conversations with our staff, our management team. to do a transition out of our current policies and into whatever's next, but we haven't quite figured that out yet, and we will be announcing it soon. But in all seriousness, we may see a slightly different approach in buildings that are owned by different entities. So, certainly city-owned buildings, county-owned buildings, state has a bunch of buildings. We may all be taking different approaches, and stay tuned for what those approaches are.
Great. The next question is regarding police reforms, and it says, will the mayor's office be proposing any changes to the police department's use of force policies and practices? If so, what and when?
Well, I have to say, I kind of wonder where the person asking this question has been over the past year, because almost a year ago, we did a bunch of work on the police use of force policies, including making sure that we brought the department into compliance with the 8 can't wait list, which we are now in compliance with. The city council passed an ordinance prohibiting neck restraints. The police department updated their standard operating procedures and continue to do so. And the department and my office are working together to implement the recommendations from the ad hoc task force on police policy and procedure. So we haven't updated any of the procedures recently, but that's because we did it all, again, almost a year ago. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, and we'll continue to look at the policies as need be, but I actually think we've done a pretty good job at updating our use of force policies. And again, we'll continue to look at those and do what we need to do. But one of the things that I've been focused on, and the chief, I think, agrees with me, is making sure that our standard operating procedures, which are available on the MPD website, are written in a way that they are clearly understandable to the public. The previous versions, I think, are a little jargony and not that easy to understand. And so I've asked the department to rewrite them in a way that makes it much clearer what the expectations for behavior are from our police department. So I don't think they've finished all of that yet, but I know they're working on it, and that's something to look forward to.
The next set of questions pertains to in-person meetings, and it says, can you please explain the factors that will go into the decision on whether to resume in-person city, county, and city committee meetings? And when do you anticipate in-person meetings will start? Will the city continue to offer a virtual option for those who prefer to attend meetings virtually? And will that option become a permanent part of the city's meeting protocols?
All excellent questions. I think the first and foremost factor is whether or when the buildings are open. We can't have public meetings in them until the buildings are open, so that'll be the first, I think, indicator. Following that, even before the pandemic, we were looking for ways to increase participation in our meetings. I'd refer folks to the Task Force on Government Structure report, which had a number of recommendations in it. So that's something that we've been sort of keeping in the back of our minds this whole time and trying to find a way to do a hybrid in-person virtual option. It is perhaps unsurprisingly much more difficult than you would think to come up with that hybrid option. So I think stay tuned on whether we go to that or whether we just return to in-person. But this is a conversation that I've started having with council leadership, and I expect, like many other things, that you will hear soon about what our approach is going to be in coming back to some in-person meetings.
And those are the questions we have today.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Just a reminder again, we will be skipping next week, but back in early June. And I hope everybody has a great week and a great Memorial Day weekend, and get outside and enjoy that weather.